Okay, so can you all see my screen? Okay, fine. So let's get started. And so yesterday we have seen some very basic things, and now we will move with the remaining portions. So the first we will see how to execute a script. So we have seen one of the method, like how we execute the shell script. One is use the complete path and execute. I mean, use complete or relative path and execute. So what are the things we need here is, so we need to give chmod plus x, then that file. So either we use say for example slash home, whatever the path, then slash our script, or if you are in that particular directory you use dot slash then test.sh. So these are the different ways. So this is the using the complete path, and here we are using the relative path. So dot stands for your current working directory. Inside the current working directory you have the file. So this is the one of the way to execute a shell script. So when we execute this way, I mean, so both are same. So if you use the slash home slash opt slash abcd, whatever it may be, and then test.sh or whatever the script name .sh, or if you execute this way, both are same. Only thing is that we are not giving the complete path, instead of we are using relative path. Okay, so relate to your current working directory. So
Casey, can you start recording? I'm so sorry. Yeah.
yeah, already started. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
Yeah, sure. So recording is in progress. Okay, fine. Uh, I'll try to start recording from here also. I don't know, yesterday this feature was not
This
working.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so these are the different various ways to execute a shell script. So one is write a shell script into a file, and normally we use the extension .sh or .bash. So most of the people use this first one, .sh. Or what I'm saying is extension is not really important here. So even if you write without extension, that also work. So once you have written this, so what you have to do is you have to give the execute permission. Chmod plus x means I am adding execute permission to this file, and you can execute either this full path or then a relative path. So let's see that in our previous example. So let me find out my IP address and connect using putty. So 192.168.0.105. Okay, open a putty. 192.168.0, then root. Then use the color as system colors. I think yeah. So I have written this example.sh. So if I don't have this execute permission, let me remove this execute permission from this file, and if you type ls-l, you can see there is no execute permission. So if execute permission is not there, you won't be able to execute this way. Or pwd get the current working directory or complete path to this file, and use this one. So this way also you can execute, but the execute permission is not there. That is the reason we are getting this permission denied. So use that chmod plus x, or you can use chmod and whatever the number you are going to use. So that number series also, we will see that how to set the permission using number later. And now you can see it has got execute permission. So we have one option is /example.com, that will execute, or use the complete path. So what is the complete path? So this is the complete path. Then see, so you can just execute this way. So how the script is getting executed if you do this way? I mean, either this is complete path or this is the relative path. Relative path means dot stands for your current working directory we have. So if you are just one step away inside the shell script, you can use /shell script then example.sh. So this is also, so here in the / means we are using the relative path, your current working directory, inside that shell scripting and inside that example. So right now I'm in /home OS boxes. So if I go one directory up, I can use /OS boxes shell script and this also, or else I can use. So when I execute this way, so what is happening inside? So how the shell is getting executed? So this is simple. So it check this sh bang, and based on that it use the shell. Okay, so here it's using bash shell to execute. So whatever your current shell, okay, see my current shell is bash csh. Okay, my current shell is csh, even though it's a csh. So this script is executed using bash only. The reason is here I have mentioned this way. So what I am trying to say is, if you use this first method, I mean this method, then it use whatever the shell that we define here, /explanatory, /bin or bash. It use that. If it is csh, it use csh. So it is sh, it use sh. So what I am trying to say here is, so whatever the things we have defined in sh bang, it use that to execute if you are executing the script in either this way. And the second option is, you have to use the path to your executable, I mean path to your shell. If I use /bin bash, then my script name. Okay, so this is another way. So if you want to execute with the bash, you can use. If you want to execute with the csh, /bin csh, then script. Or if you use want to use sh /bin sh, then script. So this way also you can execute. You can see some people are using this. So if I use that way of execution, then even if it doesn't have the execute permission, it works. Okay, so now I don't have the execute permission for this. Then in that case I can use /bin bash, then example.sh. That is working fine, even though this file doesn't have execute. So in this case what we are doing is, we are using this script as an input to this executable. Okay, so if I use /bin bash, it use the bash and then execute. If I use /bin sh, then /bin sh and execute this script, it use sh shell. If I use /bin csh, then it use a csh command or csh shell to execute this one, irrespective of the sh bang or the first line that we use in the script. Even though if you don't have the first line, so no problem. so it will execute. And also the other method, the first method, if you miss this sh bang, okay, so no problem, the code will work, but it will use the default shell that your terminal is using. Okay, and there is one more method, source. So this is slightly different from these two, the source, then script. So in all these cases, okay, see, we have the terminal. When we are executing, it will create a new child process. Child process in the sense, so this script will be executing from that process and come back. Once it is done, come back to the terminal. This is something like creating a new process in these two cases. So it create new process, or then whatever the commands we have mentioned in that script will be executed, and once this is executed, come back to our shell. So you can, when you check the process ID, you can see that detail. Then the source, the main difference is it won't okay, so you are executing from the shell. Okay, so this is your shell, and your sourcing means it won't create a new child process. It actually execute the command from here, but like when we execute this, you won't feel any difference here until and unless you check in the backend. So for example, if I use source, then example.sh, you are getting the result here, right? If you use /bin bash example, you are getting. So if I use /example, okay, so that is the, for that this I need permission. So all these three ways I am able to execute, but the how it is happening in the backend is slightly different if I use source, and if I use /bin bash, or if I use a /v. So in these two cases, what I am saying is it will create a new child process, and whatever the content we have given will be executed from that child process and come back to the terminal. But if I use the source, it won't create a child process. So rather than it, I think somebody is joined. Okay, so this is slightly different. Source means, okay, it looks like, okay, you copy the line by line and executing from your shell. Okay, I will show you that. There is a command called echo $. So or echo is the command. So there is a special variable called $. So this variable contain the process ID of currently running process. If I use echo $, so 2655 is the process ID of this shell process. So you can just verify that. Let me duplicate this session, then root osboxes.org. If I just use the ps-ef 2655, you can see that, see from OS boxes, so this CSH shell, so that is with 2655. Okay, and what I'm going to do is in example.sh, I'm just trying to print the process ID. Okay, echo process ID is $. So the variable dollar contain the process ID. If I use $, then that will print the process ID. So first, okay, so we all know this is 2655 is the process ID of our current shell. if I use example.sh, then the process ID it is printing for this script is 2882. So this process will come back when this script is executed. See, now you can see, if you just check with 288382, you cannot see that process, because see, this is the one, this is not that process. So this is the grep process that we use. So you should be able to see something like this. So that means, see, when I execute this way, so this script has created a child process here and in the backend, and was doing whatever the contents of this script once this is completed, and come back to our terminal here. So if I use /bin bash example.com, so in that case also it's a 2893, some different process. So what is my process is 2655. But if I use the source, see, the same as my current shell. So that means whenever we use the source, so it won't create a new child process to execute. This is very important, and understand the difference between the various execution. So whenever we use the source is something like like, so the source is something like copy all those commands in your shell and execute. So this is something like a source work. Source means if you will have the content, just copy and paste and execute from the current shell. But if you use /bin bash or /, so that will create entire thing as a separate process and execute there and come back. So you can see that thing very clearly when we can use some sleep command here. So this shell process ID is 2655, and if I use /example.com and 3914, like here I can just grep with 3914, I can see this is the process, right? See, so that means this created a new process with 3914. Okay, and 3914 again created another process with the sleep. That is the reason. So this is the parent ID, so this is the process ID, and this is the parent ID. So here you can see we whenever you use ps-ef, you can see two IDs. One is the process ID, and another is it's a parent process ID. So 2914 is the process ID of this shell when it executed. Okay, so when this shell executed, so new process has got created with the ID 2914, and you can see 2655 is the process ID of our shell. I mean, that is its parent. I mean, from here a new child process has got created, and it has killed when this execution complete. But you cannot see that whenever you use the source. Source means 2655, same process ID only. So if you just use 2655, you can see 2655 the same CSH shell process ID, and it just created another child process only for this sleep command. Other than that, it's using the same shell.
Suggest where exactly we can use the in the source, and where exactly we can use a /.
Yeah,
Example.
I'll show you that the main okay, so I'll come to that point, but first understand. So these are the different ways to execute. So the source is the one which is slightly different from other script execution way. The reason is it won't spawn, or it won't create a child process. not getting created. Okay, so here child process, here all and all, it will create a child process and execute that and come back. Here also the same, but in whenever we use the source, so it won't happen. So okay, so we will see that. So there is a session like when the variables are using, then this makes the difference the way we execute. Okay, because if you define a variable, okay, I'll come to that detailed variable declaration and will show you that. Okay, see so here I'm just defining a variable abc equal to 100. Okay, so the reason is this is CSH. The way the CSH work is different. So let me change that. User mod -s /bin bash os boxes. Sorry, it is not os boxes, and so let me disconnect from here and okay, so echo $0. Yeah, see, I'm just defining abc equal to 100. Okay, so this is just a variable declaration. We will see that variable declaration, but before that I'll just to show you how this this one source and other way of execution works in a differently. So abc equal to 100, so you can just get that $abc, so that will give you the value that is 100, right? However, if I just use the shell script test1.sh /bin bash, value of abc is $abc. Okay, see, abc I defined in my shell, then test.sh is inside that. I'm trying to call this abc. So if I use /test.sh, see, there is no value for abc. The reason is when I execute, okay, so let's try to execute this way also, then also we are not getting value of abc. We set the value of abc in our current terminal, but so this two way will create a new child process. Okay, so new child is getting created in either way. So that is not getting the variable that we define in our child current shell. The reason is it's creating its own environment with the new process, but these variables are not there. But when we use the source, you will be getting. The reason is the source is, whenever we use the source, new child process is not getting. So we will have the access to all the variables and values that we defined in the current shell. So this is the one difference you can see. Okay, so this is clear, right?
Yes, clear now. Thank you.
Okay, so whenever if you want a variable to be available across all its child shells, so this process and this process, it's creating child shell, but whenever if you define a variable in your parent shell, so this won't get here in the child shells. So if you want to get that, you have to use export abc. So this we call as local variable, and this is called environment variable if you do export. So if you do export, then next time you will be available. Okay, so value is getting, here you are not getting. So this way also you will get. So this is the slight difference when we do execute with the normal way and the source way. Okay, so leave it there, and now we will see the variables. Okay, so variables, there are certain rules we need to follow when we use the variables. So variables we use everywhere, like any programming language. So we use the variable for temporary storing something. It can store string, it can store numbers, it can store alphanumeric, whatever it may be. So variables we will define. Okay, so whenever there are certain set of rules we need to check. Okay, so before defining variables, so it can start with the alphanumeric. Okay, with the alphanumeric means it can start with the alphabetic, it can start with the numeric also. Then the second and very important is no space in assignment. So for example, see, ABC is a variable, 1 BC. So we will see all these things. So this is saying it has to start with either alphabetic or numeric, but if you use at ABC, so it will not work, or at 1 2 3 or 1 4 5, so this will not work. So we will see that. So no space in the assignment means, see, if you have a variable ABC equal to 100 or something, if you write, so this will not work. You should use ABC, then immediately equal to sign, and immediately this value. See, if you use ABC is equal to 100, so this will also not work. The reason is this space. Okay, so and third is case sensitive. See, the variable ABC and ABC, so these are different. And also so you can assign a null variables like var equal to this empty string, you can assign. And also never use question mark or this kind of thing in variable name. So one of the common mistake most people do when writing the shell script is this one only. Okay, see, the people who are comfortable with other programming language, when they try to assign a variable, so they mostly leave this space, and immediately you will get an error message like this command does not exist or command not found. So always stick to this policy. So there is no space when you assign a variable. So the remaining things will come when you to start coding. So it's case sensitive, so uppercase and lowercase is different. So if you define a variable in uppercase and you try to access in lowercase, that won't work. And null and empty, so everywhere, so you don't use any special characters in variable. So that is all okay, but except the two, that is the most common mistake everyone use. Okay, so I'll show you a b or a equal to, see, the first thing ABC equal to 10. See, here what I am doing is the variable ABC, I am assigning the value 10. That is a numeric value assignment. If I just want to access the value in from a variable, just prefix dollar before that variable, right? And I can use def equal to hello, then access the value using $def. Say for example def equal to, if I want to string something like, so this will fail because till here it feel an assignment, the next is something like different command. So in that case, whenever you are assigning a string, use either single quote or double quote. Sorry, I missed. Okay, you can use this variable and saying that. So whenever you use the string, better use quote, either single quote or double quote. So that there is slight difference in single quote and double quote that I'll show you later. So the first and the main thing you need to remember, so you should not leave the space. If you leave the space, definitely it will fail. So and if I use def equal to 100, then echo $def, then lowercase df, both are having different values stored, so this is case sensitive. Then a question b equal to 100, see, should not use. If I use a star b equal to 1000, that is also won't work. So we should not use special characters. So 1 bc equal to hello world. So I think numeric won't accept dash. Because it's always it can have alphanumeric, but it has to start with alphabetic, it seems. Yeah. So but if I use, okay, sorry, I have to start with the alphabetic only, not alphanumeric. Numeric it won't support. Okay, so this is about variables. So variables are used for storing a value. So you can have the variables for storing some values, and there are mainly two types of variables available. One is user defined variables, and second is environment variables. Okay, so we have user defined variables and environment variables. So user defined variables are the something like the one we defined, like abc equal to 100. So there are lot of environment variables like user, host name, etc. There are a lot of environment variables. User defined is something like abc equal to 100. So this is a user defined. And environment variables, if you want to list, just use env. So host name, then language, then all are environment variables. So you can use echo $user, that will list user number, or a random. If you want to get the random number printed, you can. And so line number you can have. So these are environment variables. So environment variables can be accessed from its child shell also, but the user defined variable has the life only in the current shell only. Okay, 1 second, I'll give me 5 minutes time. And also if you want to convert a variable to an environment variable, that is easy. Use export and then convert into environment variable. So say for example var1 equal to 100. So this is normally a user defined variable. So if you want to use, then you can use export var1 so that it will convert that into an environment variable. So you can use env and see that var1 defined somewhere here. So if you export a variable, so that variable will be available in the child shell also. So that is the different types of variable. And also if you're doing a shell scripting, so one of the common thing you need to do is you need the result of other scripts or result of other commands, any commands to get stored in a variable. Okay, store commands or scripts output to variable. So this is the common thing, and again it's not a big thing, but if you are writing in a hands-on exercise, the most of the case you will come to this example. So say for example you have a command ls, right? So you have got the command ls, or date is another command. So you need to store, date is a command that will print the current date and timestamp. So if you want to print this result into a variable, how do we print? So we use dot date equal var1 or date var or whatever the variable name you can use, equal to date. If you use, see, in that case if you just use $dvar, it was just printing or considering this as a simple string. Also whatever, even if you do single quote or if you use the double quote or without quote also, it won't work. So my requirement is to execute this date command and get that result into a variable. So how do we get that? So we have got two options. Okay, so one option is variable equal to, okay, so we use this backquote or backtick. So backtick is the command you can see just below escape. So we have a escape key in your system, and in the keyboard you can see just below escape there is one key with this character, that is backtick or backquote, then command, then entering closing backtick. Okay, see, in that case we'll come to here, then dvar equal to backquote date and then entering backquote. See, in that case if I just use echo dollar, see, this time I'm okay, see, so whenever this got executed, so this is executed and stored into this variable, and that value I can use from this variable. Okay, so that is the one way. And sometimes there is one more option available. Okay, variable equal to, there is no space, okay, then dollar parenthesis, then we write our commands here, command, then closing. So this case, okay, so dvar2 equal to parenthesis, then I can use any command ls, okay, then it execute this ls command and the result is in dvar. If I use echo dollar $dvar1, nothing is there because no files are here. So if I come back to one directory and execute that, definitely something will be there, right? Or similarly I can use this date and to dollar, yes. So just understand these two things. You can use either one. Most of the people might be using the backtick, but some people are using this way also. You can use either one, and because most of the scripts, okay, so most of the scripts you see somewhere you have to do this backtick. So for example, if you are dealing with the disk usage, okay, so you have got this command df-h, and you want to search for /home alone, right? So what you use, so df-h, then grep home. So this is something you need, right? So maybe in your script, script see d usage equal to backquote this one. So if I execute this one, see, I'm getting a value like this. Again, I can filter this using some awk and set command, and I'll show you that later. So this is one of the common use cases where we need these variables. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you all have, I hope you all have the system to practice, right?
Yes, Ish.
Okay, so you can write one script. Okay, let me okay, okay, you can write one script, okay, that print host name, then current date and time, user login, then kernel version. Okay, so for printing the host name, the command you can use is host name. Okay, and the date command you can use for this one. So user who login, I think the who am I is the command you can use. The kernel version is like a uname hyphen r you can use. Okay. So this is a simple one. Okay. So these are the commands you can use. The host name is the command used for printing the host name. Then the date. Then uh, user login. So just execute a script that will print like this format. Okay. Create one script. So this is simple. Okay, you feel like very simple initially, but try to practice from the simple one. So create. So first thing you all know, like hash explanation, then slash bin bash, then write script. Like you can use the echo command to print. Okay, but before that, what I'll tell you how we can use the first one. Okay, see in this one you can just use host name or h name or some variable use equal to backtick or backout, or I can use this one also, anyone you can choose, and the command I use is host name. Okay, so this is the this variable I have this, and I can use echo within the double quote host name is dollar h name. Okay, and similarly this date also you can store in some variable. This variable also, this value also you can use. The only thing is you need to use the backtick familiar, or this one also familiar. You can try that and execute. I'm just taking 5 minutes break. By that time you can try to create this script. Okay, so you all have the machine to practice, right? So this is very simple, so no problem. So slowly we will go to the uh, complex exercise. Okay, even if you are not able to do it properly, no problem. So we will see that and try to improve that. Okay. hello. കുഞ്ഞാവേ കുഞ്ഞാവേ അങ്ങോട്ട് 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 അങ്ങ് പോയിട്ട് വരും അച്ഛക്ക് പനിയുണ്ട്. Okay, so hope you guys able to complete that. Hello. So shall we start next, or you need any help on this? So how okay, so basically what you need is you need to use this backtick. അയച്ച് ശരി സണ്ടി ഇരിക്കെ സണ്ടി ഉണ്ടല്ലോ അതെ okay, so now let's hello അങ്ങെടുത്ത ഏച്ചി കൊണ്ടുകൊടുക്ക് കുഞ്ഞോ കൊടുക്ക്. ഓക്കെ അച്ഛൻ കുറച്ച് ഒരു സാധനം ഉണ്ടാക്കി തരും അങ്ങോട്ട് പോട്ടെ. അച്ഛൻ പഠിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ yeah, so you guys able to complete it, right? Or any help you need on that, or
Yeah.
okay, so anybody need any help on this? Or okay, let me know, or else we'll go to the next topic.
So yes, this backtick we can use only system rated variables only. We can use any variables.
Not for the variables, we use for the commands. Okay, we
Yeah,
can
system command.
yeah, system commands, or it can be other shell script also.
Okay.
Okay, so only thing is whatever the value it is returning, we are fetching that and storing it into this variable. So it can be any other shell script, or it can be mostly we use with commands only, Unix commands. Then we store
And
that. I mean the commands in the sense it can be system commands or some other application commands. Say for example Hadoop FS, or maybe some other software has that good commands. So whatever the commands we were able to execute from the terminal, the same we can use with the help of backtick or dollar parenthesis. The only thing is we are expecting that output of that command to some variable, then you can do some processing like some conversion or calculation we can do based on that. So one example is like df-h. So if you just want to check the percentage, or if you want to check this usage goes above these values, you can send alert, something like that. So in that case, most of the cases you definitely need to execute some commands and get that result into variables. For that you can use backcode.
Yeah.
So it can be inbuilt Linux commands, or it can be by some other applications. Say for example, if you add this third party application, so they also will give some executables, that also you can use here.
Yeah, that value stored into that particular variable.
Correct. In that case you use backtick or this one. Just do couple of practice or daily use this, because this one most commonly we may need to use. Also don't confuse it with the single quote, because the single quote is different and back quote is different. So if you write within the single quote, then within the double quote, that is having some different meaning, and backtick has some different meaning. So backtick, within the backtick, it will try to execute that command and return that result and store that result into a variable. Okay, so you can either you can store that into a variable, or you can just use like a okay, I think you can within echo also you can use this one. Okay, and before going further, so let me clarify this single and double quote. In case of strings, like see str equal to single quote, so this is not back quote, this is single quote. Okay, hello world, or you can use str2 equal to double quote hello world. See, even though it looks similar here, okay, see str1 equal to single quote hello world, then see echo dollar str1 same, then str2 equal to within the double quote, right. See, here we are getting the same results with using single and double quotes, but the most of the cases it do the same functionality, but there is slight difference also. So difference in the sense, if you use the single quote, interpolation will not work. So interpolation is something like converting the variables and special characters into their values, but the double quote will do that. Say for example, in this case, if I use echo dollar hello, then backquote ls, then enter backquote, if I use this one, so this is what interpolation. So that means the converting these special variables into its feature or its functionality. So within the backquote means it will have to execute this ls command and list the result, right? But if I use the single quote here instead of this double quote, see, it's printing as it is. So there is no conversion, or there is no uh, uh, I mean conversion is happening here. Okay, so if you use the double quote, definitely this interpolation works, but in say next case, see var1 equal to 100. Okay, if I use echo double quote, value of var1 is 100, right? If I use this single quote, the value of var is $var1. Okay, so that is the difference here. So $var1 is a special variable, so that value has to convert, but if you use the double quote, that value will be converted, and this dollar has the special meaning $var1, and that is a variable and its value is replaced. But if you use the single quote, that will not happen. Okay, so use single and double quote properly. So say for example, if you want to convert these special things into their values, definitely use the double quote only. Single quote, if you use, the values won't be get evaluated, so that is called in this one won't happen. Okay, so make sure you use a single and double quote properly. And also here, okay, so this is what it happened, right? So this special values within the double quote also, if you don't want to evaluate these particular variables, use backslash. See, backslash means, so this special feature, it loses its special feature. Say for example, this in previous case, this one also, if you just use the backslash here and backslash here, it loses its special. Okay, not here, in this double quote. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, okay, so it's in the double quote also, you can just suppress that by using backslash. So backslash is very important. You can, if you want to suppress evaluation of some special variables, you can use it, this backslash, lot of places, like in sed or a lot of places you may need to use. So that also just note down. Okay. And so we have seen how to print output. So we use echo command to just output. Okay. So if you want to read, so the basic thing is just we have idea about the variables, how to define the variable. Then we need to print something on the output. So we use the echo command to output. Then there is another command called read. So read is used for reading from the keyboard. Okay. Read command we use. Echo command is for output and read is for input. We will see how this read works. Okay, so from the terminal also we can just try read, then it will be like this. Okay, then you need to prompt some value, hello 1 2 3 or whatever the value. Then by default read will store its whatever the value we input into the variable called reply. Okay, so by default read will store that into a variable called reply. So we will just see read 01.sh. Okay, we use echo. So normally we use some hash. Okay, first hash explanation special meaning, then we use multiple hashes, like, okay, so we use some header. So this program is used to evaluate read, then we use, so written by who is writing this or whatever the name, and written on okay, so on something, and by see modified by, last modified on, and then modified by. So this is the way like people write in a real production environment or a real scripting. So you need a header, so that define, so what are the things that we are going to do with this script. So these are all hash means just comments, it won't execute it. Okay, and then you'll see echo read some value, then just use read, then we will just value rate is dollar reply. So dollar reply is the variable that read command stores. Okay, just save this. Okay, let me open in another shell. Okay, so let me give this execute permission and then execute. So 1 2 3 4 5 whatever the value, and value rate is this variable. Okay, so instead of writing this echo here and read in the second, so we will have the same in the read itself. So let me write second one, read -p, enter some value, So just P means something like we are printing something, and so then it will read that value and store it into a variable. Okay, so value entered is reply. Okay, just save this and let me execute. Right, enter some value and 1 2 3 4 5, yeah, and here I think I should be able to, I don't know whether this slash new line will work here. No, I think it's not that. Okay, so I'm just typing hello world. So hello world is read into a variable called replay. So this is the default one. By default it's stored into a variable called a replay, and you can specify that variable. Read -p, or without p also I can use. Enter some value, then you can use that variable val1 or whatever it may be. So in that case it won't be in replay. Value stored is dollar this variable. Then we will write echo stored in replay is dollar. Then add the execute permission. Okay, 03, then some value, but in that case we don't have values in replay since we have added variables here. So read command is used for reading something from input. So by default it will be in replay. Okay, so if you want to store into a special variable, you can use that variable. Okay, so normally okay, see, if you want, whatever the value we are typing here, we are able to see that, right? So if you don't want that, especially when you read the password and all, dot sh /bin bash. Okay, so read -p, enter username, then uname or username, something I can use, then read -sp. So s, if you have the security, I mean if you don't want that to be listed, so we will see that when we execute. So enter password, then right, so I can just use echo dollar okay, save this, chmod +x read 04, and let me execute. See, username, password 1 2 3. See, it's not printed here, so I can just use an echo here, just a simple echo here, to print a new line so that it will be much clear. Then password, right. See, this, even though I typed here, it's not displayed. So that is the reason if I use -s Hyphen P means if you just want to add some print, otherwise you need an extra echo statement. So try to avoid as much as line when you write the coding, and do it in a very compact and easy way. So you can use hyphen P instead of using a separate echo. So username and password also I would be able to read. Similarly, so in all these cases we just read one within in a one variable. So we will see how we can read a set of values in an array. Read 05.sh. Okay, so I use read hyphen a flag. Okay, I think if I just print pay, and we use like array or any variable value is and, so this is how we get the values from the array. Okay, so don't worry now. So I will show you when we define array. I don't know why this is not working. Okay, let me let me use an echo here, and instead of that, okay, so apple, mango, orange. Okay, see, you can see I use the zeroth and second positions. Like in apple, mango, orange means, so this is the zeroth position, and this is the first position, this is the second position. So zeroth and second, and apple and orange are printed here. Okay, so you can add, okay, I don't know whether with this combination hyphen p is not working. So you can use, basically you can use the read and man read. Okay, so this will give you much more options. Okay, hyphen p, then lot of options are there, so we just use hyphen p and s. So this is how this read command works. So we will any questions on here? Okay, in email I will give you the couple of exercise also, so you can practice that also, and we'll continue next week. So slowly just try to read more on this read, then echo, and the basic scripting parts, then the best practices, etc. Okay, so read a lot and practice, so you can slowly build. So please do some exercise. I'll give you couple of exercise to do in email.